IVF centers are not expensive. IVF treatment is expensive.
So here we have today Dr. Narmada Katakam.
It's really heartbreaking to tell somebody you do not have egg reserve, you have very small success rate, and donor eggs is the option. Instead of going to that extreme step, egg freezing is definitely a golden mine for your own eggs. If they can't have children, the divorce rate is so high in them.
PCOS as a syndrome can lead to much worse illnesses.
Nothing happens when they are in their 30s or 40s. But once they cross that mid-40s, the chance of cancer in the uterus is very high. I have an interesting couple. Husband's sperm was not good, so the option was donor sperm. They said, if the sperm is not his, I don't want the egg to be mine so that he won't feel left out.
What are the kind of questions that men ask you on the flip side?
They have some misconceptions like having more intercourse will make her pregnant. It doesn't. If I ask you to run, if you're obese, how fast you can run, the same speed your sperm will run.
Hello everyone, welcome to another beautiful episode of Do You Mind? And today I have someone very, very interesting. But before that, I am Deepti Akki and I love everything about fitness, wellness and health. Today's topic is very, very interesting because it is very close to my heart. And I met this special person when I was actually working with a few functional medicine doctors from the USA to work on reversing certain conditions like PCOS and infertility, because it is very, very common, not only in our country, but also in the entire global landscape for a lot of women. So here we have today Dr. Narmada Katakam, who runs Genesis Fertility and Laparoscopy Centers in Hyderabad. She also has 13 plus years of experience in London and understands the entire global and Indian landscape about infertility, PCOS, and egg freezing. We're going to talk about all that and a lot more. And we're also going to debunk a lot of myths surrounding around this topic. So, Dr. Narmada, first of all, thank you so much for coming on our show. And I know that today we're going to talk about a lot of things which also not only are related to technical issues, but also a lot of emotional well-being and a lot of overall landscape and surrounding household issues that have a lot of importance, especially in this subject. So thank you so much. Do you mind sharing your experiences with us today?
Absolutely not. I'm so thrilled to be here because I do a lot of educational reels and people can find everywhere in the Google and Instagram. But here we're going to talk, which is close to my heart, everything which is not technical, but which can be prevented just by changing lifestyle.
I'm so glad. Being a doctor, you think that way. And this is exactly what I would love for all the doctors in the medical industry, especially in a country like India, to think about how prevention is also a great subject, and also how they can help, in the entire ecosystem to bring about prevention and proactive health rather than focusing only on the treatments.
Yes.
So, do you all mind listening to this conversation today? Because we are definitely going to add value to your life. So, Dr. Narmada, so how do you think the global scenario and the Indian scenario is changing, and what is the difference between a global landscape and Indian landscape, especially when it comes to freezing your eggs and understanding and finding out PCOS way early?
So two things. One is about freezing the eggs and one is about PCOS. I'm very glad, as you said, so many people voice out and come to reach. Probably the global scenario obviously has been started off in US. For me, the first change has been introduced when Apple and Facebook gave leave as well as funding for women to freeze their eggs. That was a big phenomenal step where it just caused news and also awareness that this can be done. And egg freezing is really, really needed because if you spoke about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the age of the marriage or age of the first child was very different. Probably jumped a decade in this decade. And the egg health is maximum best between 20 to say 27, 28. And after that, whatever you do, it just drops a little bit each year. It's very interesting. Like how you said, oh, so many women come to me in mid-30s, late 30s, and they think that is the right age for freezing. It's the definite age for freezing, and it's not the right age for freezing. So what has changed in terms of egg freezing is the awareness. Because of the increasing age, the infertility has increased. So egg freezing is the solution for those women to have children with their own eggs. Because it's really heartbreaking to tell somebody you do not have egg reserve, you have very small success rate, and donor eggs is the option. Instead of going to that extreme step, egg freezing is definitely a golden mine for your own eggs.
That's really interesting. And to even know that there are global corporates who have already recognized this
Long ago.
Long ago, right?
This was in news when I was in UK. I moved to India in 2017, and this was, I think, 15 or 16. They even we regularly get the corporate employees coming for egg freezing.
Especially when it comes to egg freezing. Is there a reason why somebody's eggs are not healthy, or is there a reason why somebody is getting PCOS? Because I mean, if we know that there are multiple root causes, maybe we can figure out how to fix it.
Yes, there are two reasons. One is they're born with poor oocyte quality or poor oocyte reserve.
Okay.
Two, they made it worse because of their lifestyle. Two different groups. So if you talk about people who are born with low ovarian reserve, there's nothing they can do. There will be some genomic changes or totally one gene is missing. That's why they don't have. But that contributes to only very small percentage of women. But everybody needs to check if they don't have regular periods or if they feel that the period flow is less. Just check your egg reserve. Or if you don't have plans to have a child in future, just check the egg reserve. Coming to those people who made the reserves, the quality of the oocyte poor is because of the lifestyle. Apart from planning late, that's a different story. I think the big change happened when the IT companies are outsourced to US. God made us to work during the day and sleep during the night. Because of outsourcing for US, people are working in the night and sleeping during the day. And the hormone levels are peak early hours when they're supposed to be most rested. And that has reversed. So that hormonal imbalance changes how the eggs are released and all. And then the unhealthy food and what are the contaminants, the preservatives in the food and the estrogen in the milk which we eat. That really phenomenally changes the quality of the oocyte. The environmental toxins, like whatever has impact on our heart and lungs, also has an impact on an eggs. So the best way to prevent is stay away from the pollutants or try to eat as natural food as possible. Try to avoid preservatives and try to plan early and preserve the eggs. Maybe you don't need it, but you can just bank it in case you need it for future.
And there are not many, I know that there are not many diagnostic labs helping us to understand as early as, say, puberty and teenage, if we can find out the egg health.
Yeah.
I think we are far more educated
Yeah.
and aware rather than finding it out pre-marriage or even post-marriage.
Yeah.
Because then a lot of things cannot change.
Yeah. Major percentage of women and men, where the families look at the Gotralu, Nakshatralu, the horoscope and all, probably they should check the egg health and the sperm health before proceeding. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And a little like twist is that men's infertility. Do you also get a lot of men coming to you?
You'll be surprised. It's half and half.
Wow.
But even the women believes infertility is because of her.
Yeah.
Very strongly. The both side parents and women takes the onus of not being able to get pregnant. And there are different classes of people and different localities where if they can't have children, the divorce rate is so high in them.
Yeah.
It's very disheartening. I feel like when we do the counseling, it's just a little bit of very thinking, am I going to break their family? Because I gave the news that either the man doesn't have enough or good sperm or the women, are they going to continue? It's phenomenal emotional impact and social disturbance because kids are kids. They're lovely, but they leave.
Yeah.
People forget that their bond is also equally important and the whole sole purpose is just not kids. And there are many ways to have kids. There are many ways to have kids you can have naturally. There are other IVF methods, smaller procedures, bigger procedures, adoption, a lot of there, but they forget that and they think the unity of husband and wife is not that important anymore.
And these are really the matters where I start to think the involvement of the doctor, in this entire ecosystem, because it's about debunking certain myths and helping households understand certain taboo, concepts. Because the doctor's role goes beyond being just fertility doctor. It goes beyond that and then goes into psychiatry and wellness consultation and emotional well-being of the family and the person itself.
You really nailed the point because that education and knowledge is also required in our fraternity because we think that we should give medical treatment, that's our job. There's so much of counseling needed. If you do, you do. If you don't, just refer to the person who can address those problems. Obviously, clinics are busy. We can't spend that much time, but give the clinical details, non-medical alternatives, natural alternatives. And for counseling, identify who needs counseling. It's huge emotional stress when, like for a man, for me to tell, your sperm isn't good, it's unimaginable how much stress they go through because they don't understand, is the sperm health linked to my family life or my sexual life? They don't know the link. They have 100 questions, and when we give the news, they don't know what to ask, and each question comes to them like a bomb. And then I always tell them, take another consultation, whatever questions you have, please come and check.
So how do you moderate this kind of a conversation? Because I really want to understand if the doctors globally or even in India are equipped to have this kind of a conversation.
The only difference between West and East, there we are made to systematically learn and be equipped. Here it's a choice. And it's a personal interest, and people don't know that. Very sad. These are such essential skills we need to be able to deliver what we do to the patient, especially when we do these difficult consultations. It's not easy for a woman to know that her regular health is not good. Not easy for a man to know that the sperm health or the count is not good. There's never only one way to treat them. We just can't give the news, you don't have good eggs, go for donor eggs. There's always alternatives. Natural alternatives where you can improve the egg health. The numbers won't change, but the quality can change. Just tell them, eat well, sleep well. These are all very, looks like very small in guidance, but it does matter. Give the list of fertility foods which will increase the fertility. Ask them to sleep well. Sleep, such a common thing.
Yes.
Just sleep for 7 to 8
and
hours.
like you said, focus on the circadian rhythm and
circadian
sleep,
rhythm,
from 11 to 4
Yeah.
more than.
There are couples where I asked, do you really need this job? And they don't know why I'm asking this. Can you find an alternative job? Then I tell them, the circadian rhythm is lost. If there is any possibility, take an exemption for 3 months or find a new job. But otherwise, alternatives are always there. But the self alternatives are dwindled.
So that kind of a scenario which you're saying, which is impacting the system from the environment, is leading to an hormonal imbalance, which is probably resulting in an early on PCOS, which has not been detected early. But then after marriage, couples end up facing infertility issues.
When you say after marriage, such a common scenario. Most women identify they have PCO when they get married. PCO is a lifestyle disease. It's not a disease. It just happens with the lifestyle. You get married, you move jobs, you move states or cities, you put on weight, you lose weight, PCO surfaces. Just with the events of life, PCO comes, and somebody has PCO, they'll always have PCO. Don't need to think about it's a disease. It's not a disease. It's what they have, like their eyebrows, their eyelashes. PCO is a part of their body. It only becomes a problem when there's hormonal imbalance. And hormonal imbalance happens because of late nights, not sleeping enough, getting stressed,
Eating junk food also.
eating junk food, and it's all about fat around the tummy. There, the female hormones are converted to male hormones, and that causes hair loss, excess hair where it should not be, period irregularities, and that comes from junk foods.
So like you said, it's not something that anyone can actually approach towards saying that it's just a disease, I will get rid of it, or I will take medicine. So thankfully, you are actually telling me now that somebody who can focus on their gut health and environment,
That's it.
can just deal with it.
Some young girls come to me, I have PCO, please treat me. I ask them, how do you want me to treat? Lifestyle or medication? I can give you lifestyle advice. I can give you medication. Which one do you want to continue for lifetime? Thankfully, most young girls say, I wanted lifestyle. So I give them temporary 10 days medication to get a period. I tell them what all lifestyle changes will impact the PCO and make it cause problems with periods or fertility. And so many young girls come back thanking me saying, thank you, doctor, you didn't prescribe me medicines. And it just has a global effect, 360-degree effect on their general health as well.
So how does anyone approach it? What are the early signs? If someone's like, I want to know now what is my egg health, or I want to know now if I have a syndrome, how do I know it?
Egg health, I would say universally, there should be such increased education about just checking it sooner. Start checking from early 20s. There's one simple blood test called anti-Mullerian hormone, AMH, that tells us the reserve. It's like, I always use this example. You're born with a fixed deposit.
Yeah.
And every month you use a little bit out of it. And you can't access the whole of it. It's untouched. You lose it a little bit every month. So find out what your fixed deposit is. You can't control how much you spend, but you can control when to spend it. The ovarian reserve, everybody is born with around 2 million eggs. And on a monthly basis, we lose around 1,000. But some women spend faster. It's not in their control, but it happens. So those women will lose their reserve sooner. So the only way to check egg reserves is by doing this test, anti-Mullerian hormone. Interestingly, in PCO, they have more follicles, their ovarian reserve is high. I'm not suggesting PCO women that they can delay longer than non-PCO women, but they're blessed with having more oocytes for a little longer time than somebody who don't have PCO. That's the only blessing in disguise for them.
Like how everything is in duality. Like if you don't have this, then you still have this.
Still have this.
So it depends on how you manage your life and how you take care of your body
Yeah.
and treat it like a temple, and then you can still have your eggs.
I really like the word temple. Yeah, we should give a very good value to our own. Like when the infertility patients come, when a young girl comes with PCO, I'm thinking, oh, she will be difficult to treat. But a 35-year-old woman come with PCO, my first expression to my own self will be, thank God she has PCO, she has eggs. So still has a good chance of having her own child. Yeah.
Oh, that's a very good perspective. That's a really nice way to look at it. So just going back to the myths, what do you think are actually the myths surrounding this?
Fertility?
Let's say in India, what are the common myths that should be broken?
Most important myth, only females are the reason for infertility. The second myth, if you go to fertility center, the IVF is the only solution. It's not. There are many other solutions. They can go systematic approach, lifestyle changes, changing little hormones and all. Third thing, treatments lead to obesity. Treatments don't lead to obesity because they're so stressed. They think resting will increase the success rate. They rest and put on weight. Nothing to do with the medication. The other big myth they have is if you have fertility treatment, you'll have twins. It's not. It depends on if you put more number of embryos, then they'll get twins. If you put one embryo, it will be a single baby. Then the other myth, interesting myth, they'll have male kid if they undergo fertility treatment. That's not the case either.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like people are choosing.
Yeah.
Hey God.
Yeah. Oh, that.
I wanted twins.
Yeah.
I want triplets.
And the designer babies. Can I have big eyelashes, longer height? No, they'll be like you. Yeah. They think that they can design that embryo, carve that embryo and put it back. Doesn't work like that. Yeah. You can't have Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, whoever you choose. You just have somebody like you and your husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more myth people have. They're so scared of infertility, thinking they'll have abnormal babies.
Oh.
They won't be born with horns or a tail. They'll be normal. There are millions of babies who are born with IVF.
Yeah.
When you walk on the street, probably you don't even know you cross 10 or 15 kids born from IVF.
Yeah.
They'll be normal. They don't need to worry.
All these myths, what is your experience that you've ever had where you thought it was the weirdest thing that you heard? Like, what? You guys think this will happen?
I think the designer baby.
The designer
babies. People think that we can design them. We don't.
Like
we don't.
They'll come to you and they'll say,
Yeah.
we'd like a nice...
Yeah. And the other thing which sometimes we come across, the baby should be in the uterus. Unfortunately, sometimes it can be in the tubes.
Yeah.
It's called ectopic pregnancy. They ask us to take it from there and put it back in the uterus, which scientifically we can't do. Sometimes they're sad, sometimes they're angry, frustrated. How can you not do that? Why is science not so advanced? Probably it will be in future, but at this moment, we can't change from one place to the other.
I want to ask you something where navigate through uncomfortable conversation to creating a very safe space with a doctor, with someone like you. What is the kind of accessibility someone has in the East? How do you approach something like being very open-minded towards somebody?
The logistics things of East and West, appointments are so easy here. You think about a doctor, next hour you're in the clinic.
Yeah.
West is very different. You have to wait for months and weeks to get an appointment. That's one big difference. Coming to health, very, very interestingly and disappointingly, if you take a woman of 35 years in the West, they still do have good ovarian reserve. Scientifically proven, Indian women age 6 years faster than women in the West. We used to do IVF for so many women over 40 in the West, but here at 40, trying to have a success is very, very low. So if you have been to the West or no friends in the West, don't go by their age and your age. It's not a comparison at all. Indian women age much faster.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's something very interesting.
That's a real pain point.
Real pain, yeah. Like even the diabetes is much more common to Indian women than women in the West. Yeah.
We are the diabetes capital of the world, the cancer capital of the world, which actually reminds me how PCOS as a syndrome can lead to much worse illnesses, because having PCOS itself is not a problem. Lack of awareness, which is going to lead to cancer causing or heart causing or let's say even depression, mental health related.
You really touched something I really want to. I always cascade this information. If somebody doesn't have periods for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, most people think it's a comfort zone. It's not. Whenever they don't have periods, hormone by name estrogen is high in their body. Nothing happens when they're in their 30s or 40s. But once they cross that mid-40s, the chance of cancer in the uterus is very high. That is one thing every woman with PCOS should remember. She should get at least one period every 3 to 4 months. She doesn't need to do anything more. Maintain health, sleep well, eat well, but make sure you do get a period at least every 3 to 4 months to prevent future cancer. Same thing with heart disease. Very small point, but they knowing it at the age of 40 is too late.
So how do you maneuver towards finding out the root cause to the PCOS? Because as a syndrome, it is not going to give away where it started from. Does it always start from having more estrogen
No, you are born with it.
Okay.
Most common reason why people come to us, please check my PCO, is going to the dermatologist and they're referring to us, check for PCO because she has hair fall.
Oh, yes. Mostly they go for hair loss or acne.
The second thing is they come directly to us when they don't have periods. Either they come through.
Sometimes is it also because they're having IBS or constipation or gut related issues?
Could be. Very
I think
common.
that is also very common in teenagers.
Very common. So one is hair loss and acne, one is the period problems. The third most common reason why they come to us is I'm obese, I'm struggling to lose weight. And they every time they think I have PCOS, it's not a shield they have. They have to work against it, fight with it, find the gut health and work on it rather than thinking, I can't do anything because I have PCOS. You can do a lot. Yeah,
I face the same issue in at least my fitness studios. Women used to come saying, I can't do anything about it. I have thyroid. So how much ever I work out, I'm not going to lose weight. I have PCOS. I can't do anything about it. But knowing that what kind of a workout actually supports in your follicular and luteal phase and how you can jump that, how you can be better than others and actually treat the syndrome in itself and treat it without medication is the most beautiful part of the whole journey. And I think the people who understood that and went beyond it are the women who are very happy, who know that, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to eat. This is how much I need to sleep and quality over, everything else. Let me do all these things and lifestyle wise fix myself.
One of my favorite lines is knowledge is power. You have the knowledge, you have the hypothyroid, you have knowledge, you have PCO, use it in your favor rather than find it as an excuse.
Yeah, that's so beautifully said.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the difference between East and West when it comes to treating PCO or when it comes to treating infertility? How are things different? Because sometimes some of my friends are traveling abroad to get treatments done.
If you talk about PCO, like obesity is global, but physical exercise is much higher in the West. That makes it less intense. 14 years ago, 13 years ago, the onset of Swiggy, Deliveroo, all these have really phenomenally changed the situation of PCO. You don't even walk to the store to buy something. So little bit of physical activity. I suggest most of my patients find a Fitbit. Every hour it gives an alarm for you to move.
But how sad is this today for us to actually bank on gadgets and, look at the watch to tell us when to drink water and when to get up and move and when to stand up and when to sit and breathe.
Especially people who are working with computers for 10 to 12 hours and they're lost in the task they're doing.
And losing intuition.
Losing what's going around them. Yeah. So one, compared to East and West for the PCO, one is physical exercise and obesity. Definitely we are a little more obese than most of the West. So if we work on those two, little more physical activity, little more attention to the weight, which is linked anyway, obviously, that will help with the PCO.
So when you say us, so are you also bringing the tier 2 and tier 3? Are they way better than us?
No. Interestingly, people who come from peripheries are slimmer than people coming to me from within metros.
Oh.
Probably because they still walk around a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're still rooted.
And then when you ask me about fertility treatments, India has everything you want.
I know.
India is...
I think a lot of people also, like the doctors here.
Yeah. And then the biggest... I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. We can do what we want. Like at my Genesis Fertility and Laparoscopy Center, I have every gadget available in infertility. So I can use the embryo biopsy, I can do the witnessing. A lot of things are available. But the same things to be in the West. It's all hierarchical and a lot of steps to implement any procedure. Basics are very good, especially in UK, NHS. They can provide only a little bit. Here we can do a lot more additional services to increase the success rate. There are like 4 or 5 different steps. Each step will increase their success rate by small percentage, 4 or 5. But at the end of it, if the success rate is 40, it jumps to 60 because we do all these things. So that way we're really blessed. But the only thing is, patients should find out which is a genuine center who has all these facilities and who don't. They can't discriminate this. And another big thing, because of the female decreased number of population, the gender selection is illegal in India. Unfortunately, people do go to the West for gender selection. That's something which doesn't matter. It's a girl or a boy. Kids are kids. Yeah.
And from my personal experience, to tell you a very small story, when I wanted to get pregnant, a couple of times I had miscarriages. Then I had to really test my ovulation cycles for 6 months diligently and then find out, the period where I was most fertile to get pregnant. And it was not easy, right? Because the whole process itself involves, checking my, egg health and, all that stuff. So when I finally got pregnant, and I had a very beautiful gynaec, thankfully, the support of her. So I think it was preserving the pregnancy more than getting pregnant. Because for me, getting pregnant was not the problem, but preserving the pregnancy, having the fetal heartbeat and having the fetus grow at least up to 3 months was the actual problem. Or I had like progesterone hormonal injections every week for 36 weeks, which was pretty painful. And I remember having like a very healthy diet throughout my pregnancy where apple was literally my craving because that's just the fruits and veggies that I used to eat. But still I put on like almost 22 kilos, and that was my second big transformation which happened in my life.
Look how you are now.
Yeah, in 6 months, I decided that by the time my baby is 6 months old, I'm going to get back to my pre-pregnancy genes. And that was my goal. It was in front of me. But I think a lot of women are not the same motivated, or probably not well guided or well mentored. So how do you, make sure this is accessible? How do we make sure that something like this is more accessible in India? Probably have more strength to talk about it. What are the, kind of disclosure that people give you? I mean, in terms of the entire sexuality, couples, the way they come and talk to you, what do they disclose?
Most important thing is to make them feel comfortable to talk to you. And when they say something, don't make any expression or just accept what they say. Everybody has personal choices, personal different exposures. They don't know what the other life can be. But just listen and don't be judgmental. You just openly accept what they say. They'll open up everything they have to say. That's most important thing. And this is from the medical side. But society, they have to really, really let go people who are infertile rather than poking them and putting pressure on what's happening. Why are you not pregnant yet? Are you not going to doctor? Go to this doctor. And I see people going to
forget pregnancy. Everybody gets asked, why are they not married?
Yeah. Yeah. Why are they not married? Why are they not pregnant? Your journey, what you said. So many hospital visits.
Yes.
So
many hospital visits.
And I can imagine when you had
and definitely in-laws and, the entire family asking, have a child. What's happening? What's stopping you? Why are you guys traveling here and there every 2 months? When will you have a child? So I think everybody gets so nosy into your entire...
Two ways. Probably they are nosy. Probably they're critical. Or probably they're really affectionate and they want your good without understanding your good is leaving you alone.
Yeah.
Parental education is... Society education is so much needed. Like I had a friend when I was in UK. I knew she was struggling to get pregnant. But the question I used to ask her was, do you want me to listen? No, I don't want to talk about it. I never broached. I want you to listen. We don't always need to give an advice. You can just listen. That will also make them feel better. And progesterone, as good as a drug because it gave you a baby.
Yeah.
But it's a horrible drug which causes water retention and makes you bloated.
Yes.
And women should understand there was a generation where they thought a woman is different before a child and after a child. It's not. Just look at the world. People have children and they're still acting, modeling, anchoring. Look at you. Look at you.
That's true.
It's just motivation. Like I had one of my friend's daughter. She used to walk 10 kilometers a day. Except her tummy, she didn't have a millimeter of fat anywhere else.
Wow.
Straight after delivery, she was still fitting into her size 0 dresses. Motivation, that's all. Knowledge, motivation.
Yeah, I was active throughout my pregnancy and I used to walk 1 hour a day and I used to do prenatal yoga. But, what you get from family is not the same, right?
Yeah.
You don't do all that.
Yeah.
So much difficulty, you got pregnant now. Yeah. Just sit.
That's a big thing.
Just sleep.
From the families in India. Rest.
Yeah. Rest.
Yeah. The rest and arrest you to the couch. Yeah. Yeah.
So, such kind of typical, let's say, conservative Indian households, what's the kind of advice you think they should get from listening to you?
For fertility, act sooner rather than later. You don't need to get pregnant. Find the fertility health just by one single blood test. Depending on that, how good or how bad it is, the doctor will advise you how soon you need to repeat it. Do you need egg freezing or not?
That's once in 6 months?
Depends. Like suppose a 25-year-old girl comes to me with a 3 AMH, I would ask her to repeat in 12 or 18 months. 30-year-old comes to me with an AMH of 1, probably I'll ask her to repeat sooner. It's very, very customized to that person and that AMH. There's no blanket rule. Just follow the guidance. Look at the numbers. They'll see a trend if they're repeating time and again. So that's about the fertility health. A big message to the family. Please do not put force. They already are taking a lot of intrinsic pressure they're taking, and you really don't want to put extrinsic pressure. And for the couples, find the right place to find the right guidance rather than thinking they did that. This is something very interesting. That friend of mine got pregnant this way. I want to get pregnant that way. No, her eggs are different. Her husband's sperms are different. You cannot get the pregnant same way. They have to understand It's not like 1+1 is 2. It has to be customized to their sperm health, egg health, physical health, age, everything. So those are the 3 advices for me to the women, to the couple, and to the family.
And what are the various routes someone will take when they're infertile?
Most important thing is find out if you're infertile at all. Some very small things like I moved in 2017. I have a 2-seater sofas in my reception. I had a couple. Both of them can't fit into one 2-seater. That was the weight of both of them. Very lovely, very healthy, very on the feet. But and I was thinking, I'll have to struggle to make them pregnant. I only corrected her thyroid and she came back pregnant naturally. It's not always the case. Very small things like thyroid and prolactin are 2 hormones, which correcting those 2 will make them release a very good quality egg and they get pregnant naturally. First, very important step, find out, do you have a reason for infertility? Act on that rather than thinking, I need IVF or I need IUI. One is evaluation. Second thing, wherever there is a need, like how you took tablets for 6 months, you could have gone straight to IVF. You didn't. Don't give up so quickly. Just try whatever lowest method of treatment is there. Try those. And then, so one is natural, one is ovulation induction. The third step is, we call it IUI, intrauterine insemination, where the husband's processed sperm is taken and put in the uterus of the woman. So that kind of reduces the workload on the sperm to go and travel till the egg. So that shortens the route. So that's why the pregnancy is accepted. The last final resort is IVF. Rather than jumping and thinking, I will get an IVF or I need an IVF, find out if there are any alternatives. Almost all couples have more than one option, except for those who don't, like somebody has no sperm at all. Their option is obviously IVF. Or somebody has tube blocked, then their option. But rest of all other options, you'll have more than one option. Pick your option. Check the success rate. Check the cost. Check what suits you. And then decide your route. One common thing which I see many couples, they go from center to center to center. First center says you need IVF because they really have a big problem. Go to second, third, fourth, fifth, and they keep piling the files. And I tell them, do you know, you're taking the problem with you. Center is not the problem. You have a problem. You're taking it from center to center.
Correct.
So they just have to act on it rather than, then they come at the age of 35 or 40 wanting a natural pregnancy. So those delays, they should act timely. That's the one big advice I have for the couple.
No, more than anything, like you said, somebody is very proactive about their health and can look into the vitals way early. Like even during teenage or puberty itself, if a girl, teenage girl can just go and get tested, or even at 18 can go and get tested, or even before marriage can go and get tested. That's, one and for all solution.
Look at post-COVID. There's so many diagnostic labs. You really don't need a doctor. You check the blood test, and if they're not normal, then you go. Do the same thing for the egg health as well. Do the same thing for the sperm health as well. Don't think it's a disease. Don't think you need a medical attention. Just if it is abnormal, then go and see a doctor. Makes it so easy.
So when IVF also doesn't work, like how we spoke about all the 4 different routes, what is the next step?
2 steps. If the egg quality is not good, we recommend using donor eggs. If the sperm quality is not good, the same option, donor sperm. If that doesn't work or they don't want, then adoption is the last choice.
Okay.
The surrogacy in between, I'll explain more about surrogacy. I have an interesting couple. Husband's sperm was not good. So the option was donor sperm. They said, if the sperm is not his, I don't want the egg to be mine so that he won't feel left out. Use donor egg and donor sperm. It's very different emotional interaction between couples. We should not judge. Do what gives them peace and happiness.
Yeah, of course.
That's it.
Would you also get the same sex couples who come for, getting a baby and have a surrogate?
Not here, probably because they're still not so open about it. But we used to have it regularly when I was working in UK. It's much easier to treat when it is 2 females, because you just take the donor sperm and make whoever out of those 2 who wants to make a baby. Much difficult with men because they need to borrow a woman and the uterus. Yes. So sperm will be there. The egg and the uterus will be from a surrogate. So that for men it is more complex.
I like how there's not much taboo concerning this entire topic, especially in our country after celebrities have gone for surrogacy.
Much better.
And I think or even judge a woman who doesn't even want to change her body, who's like, I just want to keep this body. Maybe they're in a profession where it doesn't allow them to big changes. They might just want to go for surrogacy even.
There might be people who don't like both of us supporting that. But it is what it is. It's their choice. And most of them, like there are celebrities who adopted kids, even when they had partners. That's such an amazing thing, giving life to 2 people.
I have friends who adopted, children in spite of having children. So I think that's a very beautiful thing to do. And there are a lot of, adoption centers who are doing a great job.
Great job. Yeah. rather than struggling hard to find a donor egg, donor sperm. Adoption is another beautiful choice.
Doctor, I want to ask you a few questions where I feel that, people will again gain a lot of insights, especially from our conversation. One is to do with the risks which is associated with any kind of fertility treatments, whether for men or women.
The biggest risk is the emotional damage they cause to themselves.
Oh,
Because they come with huge expectations. Even though we tell them stay close to the realistic expectations, your success rate is so and so because of your weight, because of your age, because of your ovarian reserve or the sperm health. No harm in having positive energy or positive affirmation, but sometimes they get really broken down, shattered when they hear the negative news. So the biggest complication is not being close to realistic expectations. Medically, there are not many. The days have gone where it was complicated, but now most important and the common ones is the side effects with the injection. They really worry that the side effects are lifelong lasting. They are not. Every injection is powerful only for 24 hours. They get little bit of headache, little bit of bloating, little bit of breast tenderness. That's all. In 24 hours, it's gone. But their belief, last 7 years ago when I had the infertility treatment, since then, they have to forget that.
Associating that to how they're doing now.
Yeah. The other things being, whenever they have a procedure like egg collection for the women for IVF, or there's a procedure men undergo which is called testicular sperm aspiration. When they have a procedure, the risks are like any other procedure. Anesthetic risk, bleeding, infection, but nothing major. It's nothing like a brain surgery or a heart surgery. It's like going to pluck your eyebrows. Yeah, very simple. Just they have to choose a right center with a person with an expertise.
Nice. So someone like you. But I like how the main risk is actually what they're causing to themselves internally. So I think it's all here and it transcends down into the body.
And probably another risk I would say is the financial. Everybody is not fortunately well off. IVF centers are not expensive. IVF treatment is expensive. And again, if you take lung replacement, heart surgery, brain surgery, it's not that expensive. But because this is a choice thing, like they want to change their joints or break a fracture bone corrected, they don't have a choice. Here, it's a choice thing. And here, it's not something which has 100% success rate. Like if I want to get an appendix removed, it's removed.
Correct.
Unfortunately, fertility, there's only certain level science is advanced. So we can't guarantee a baby in one go. So we can't tell them a budget. Like let's say, suppose one IVF cycle, all inclusive takes around 2 lakhs. It doesn't end at 2 lakhs because we don't know at the end of 2 lakhs we're giving a baby or not.
Yeah.
So whenever they go, they have to be prepared for the funds as well as little excess. On the other hand, we do have patients coming to me. They might pay around bill of 90,000 or 1.5 lakh to Genesis. And they say, I've spent 3 lakhs because they include the loss of their pay, the travel, the breakfast they had, everything.
Yes.
So just have realistic information about expenditure wherever you go, and then be prepared for another 10% extra in case something else comes up.
I think these days with the insurance agencies, just like how it is in the West, does it work in the East?
One is EMI system. Two, some corporate insurances, especially if they're employed in corporate sectors, those insurances cover. Like the number of times I give a bill to submit to the corporate office has definitely increased.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice.
But some of them already.
So having a
given
better
advance.
insurance
Yeah.
plan will help.
Yeah.
How about for men? Usually when they come to you, if they're the ones who are infertile, like how we discussed, it's an equal ratio of men and women being infertile. What are the kind of questions that men ask you on the flip side?
This is so funny. Sometimes they don't ask the question. Like when I do the counseling, I explain the women's result first. The man is happily sitting like this. When I say, I'll explain your results, you can see the changes. He just stoops down to the edge of the chair because he's so anxious to know how the semen parameters are. They're much more anxious than a woman is about her reports. So the first thing is how anxious they are. Second thing is, probably this needs a lot of education in different ways. The common questions I hear from them is alcohol smoking. I think most people have an awareness that it has an impact on fertility, but they don't understand obesity and age have as well. And I tell them, if I ask you to run, if you're obese, how fast you can run, the same speed your sperm will run. You lose weight, you run faster. You lose weight, your sperm runs faster. Simple example.
Do they get offended?
No.
Do they feel like they should lose weight and come back? I actually have good set of friends who are above 40 and have kids, got pregnant naturally and effortlessly, I think, who maintain themselves, obviously, who are healthy.
Makes a huge difference. But again, If I set a standard of reaching BMI 25, it's impossible. I usually standards are lose 5% of your present weight. If somebody is 90 kilos, just lose 4 kilos. That small targets are much easier to reach. And honestly, on the egg health and sperm health, even the 5% weight loss makes a lot of difference. And they have some misconceptions like having more intercourse will make her pregnant. It doesn't. You just need one intercourse at right time to release one good sperm to go and meet that egg. And some men are worried about if they masturbate more, will they become infertile? No relation at all. So these are the common questions we ask. And they usually let the
This
wife
is
go.
so funny. These are the common
I
questions
know.
that men ask.
And they let the wife go, come back inside and ask. Yeah. So those are the doubts which they don't need to be worried about. They just need to have good health, good BMI, healthy nutrition. When they're planning pregnancy, no vaping, no smoking, no alcohol.
For how many months when they're planning pregnancy?
Even for the egg or the sperm, you have an immature sperm. It takes around 90 days to become a mature sperm.
Okay.
3 months is the time.
So basically, someone who's actually addicted to smoking or alcohol or chemicals.
This is one funny question. Yesterday I had alcohol. Is that why my sperm result is not normal today? It doesn't. It doesn't directly go into the sperm. It takes 3 months of alcohol for it to affect.
Any other factors affecting the sperm count?
Age, weight, diabetes.
Okay.
Diabetes is a silent killer for every single part of the body, and sperm is one of the cells. And the occupation. Anybody who's exposed to heat. It could be goldsmiths, fabricators, or people working in kitchens. People work in operation theaters, theater technicians, all those toxic gases. People working in pharmaceutical labs, if they're handling drugs which impact fertility, like cancer drugs and all, those people have it. So occupational hazard. So they have to check. And night shifts. A lot of occupational changes they can make.
I can see that booming number of fertility clinics which are there currently in our country. We are actually at a much better place because we have the access, right kind of information and the right kind of experts very easily, and also access to pharmacy, which is also very difficult in the West. But also I see the rising number of cases, probably not informed well to make the right choices. What do you think is the right way to penetrate into a market where the system itself is very conventional?
Any other ailment, you have cold, cough, you have appendix, you go to the hospital, you go one more visit, it's done. Infertility, even if you get pregnant in the first attempt, the minimum number of visits you need is at least 10 to 15. Just imagine people traveling 100 kilometers. Like when I moved to India in 2017, probably I was around 12th or 13th fertility center in Hyderabad.
Interesting.
You have 270 plus now. But still, it won't cover the population, yeah. Because most were centered across the metros. That's why there are a lot of centers in big cities. But fortunately, even the tier 1 cities in Telangana at least, most of them have 4, 5, 10 fertility centers. So people might travel 30 to 40 kilometers rather than coming all the way to Hyderabad, which is very, very good. It has been a little decentralized, but it can do a lot more. Because of long distance to travel access, losing work when they travel, they give up on having a child. So at least they don't need to do that when it's decentralized and the access is more close to their home.
So do you mind also sharing with us the kind of sentiments and the belief system in our Indian households that is stopping from people to be expressive about their sexuality or expressive about their fertility health? You know why I'm asking you this question?
I know, it's getting...
Because before getting married, tell somebody that, my daughter has PCOS or does not have good fertility health, or even if they've done the tests and they know, there's a lot of stigma surrounding that.
Mothers come with their kids when they're unmarried, identify thyroid, and they come back after marriage. They say, "Madam, just remove the old file. I don't want their family to know she had thyroid." Just that fear of being abandoned for small reasons should be gone. That obviously depends on the whole social openness to things. We're talking about thyroid and PCO, they're very common. There are women, unfortunately, they're not born with the uterus or the vagina. They don't have periods. They don't disclose that and get the marriage done. In 6 months' time, the family comes to know and it ends up in a divorce. The very first thing I do in my consultation, once I know she's not having periods because she doesn't have uterus, is even though she's not even due for the marriage age, I always tell them, don't get misguided. Be honest and transparent. It's better to have an unmarried girl rather than a divorced girl at your home. That openness and honesty is something, it's getting a lot better. People don't hide it that much. But we have miles to go.
I have friends who decided to never have children.
I do get those consultations.
Been married for 15 years, have discussed the same very openly with both their parents, and are leading a very successful life.
They made that choice, yeah. It's fine. Like there are so many parents here who have the kids are living abroad. They only meet one every year or every 2 years. Probably traditionally they wanted a child to look after them in their old age, but it's not the case anymore.
It isn't.
So have children if you want to, rather than thinking this is the social ladder I want to go. I want my career, I want my job, I want my whatever household, a new house, and a child, the first child, second child, school. It's not the case anymore.
And even if you want to have a child and you're not able to have a child, there are many ways in which you can have a child. And you can also adopt a child instead of being together for some other reason of having a child, rather than just being together because you both want to be together and you want this beautiful love to culminate into a marriage.
They forget that it's them who is more important. Child is an outcome of the relation rather than the relation itself.
That's
If they choose.
I'm so happy, to have this conversation with you. I just want to ask you if you mind sharing any kind of personal thoughts surrounding the way you, as a fertility and egg freezing expert, you deal with your children and in your family.
One of my friend's daughter, she was going to UK for further education for 3 years, and she comes with her daughter to me and said, I don't know when she'll find somebody else. I don't know when she'll be ready to have a child. Can you please freeze her eggs? Done.
So beautiful.
Yeah, like one of my daughter's friend, a lot of pressure on moving fast forward into the relation because she's worried about her aging and the ovarian reserve. Rather than pushing herself into relation, freeze your eggs.
Yeah.
I recommend same thing to my cousins.
Rather than looking for a partner to have a child because you're turning old and you're like, oh, how do I balance, as a woman, how do I balance my career, my shift, or how do I deal with my separation? There is a lot of help out there.
I strongly recommend that to my own daughter. I don't hesitate. Because if I can't tell my own daughter, how can I tell the rest of the population?
Yeah.
And she's someone who really wants to adopt first child. Again, as I said about the donor, using a donor egg, it's a very, very difficult consultation. When you tell that, I really don't want to do that conversation with her. I would rather freeze the eggs and give her own baby.
That's a nice of you to see that whatever you are actually preaching, you also follow in your personal life. And it was phenomenal having this conversation with you. This is very close to my heart, to break myths and to help people understand the kind of taboo and stigma surrounding certain topics, and way more simpler when you open up and you ask. That's it.
There's one dialogue in Alavaikunthapuramlo. You're scared only till you tell the truth. Once you tell the truth, everything is so much more clear. Just do it.
Truth triumphs.
Yeah, always.
So thank you so much, Dr. Narmada. It was great, heartful conversation from you. And I'm 100% sure that this will help a lot of people. And also, more than anything, I honestly feel that this will also help the medical fraternity to rethink how to build an ecosystem surrounding wellness experts, gut health experts, nutritionists, fitness coaches into this entire concept, tying them up into this rather than just trying to deal with everything, end to end, because I'm sure a lot of them cannot have these uncomfortable conversations themselves, like you.
I can say if all those things are done, probably we'll have 20% less couples coming for infertility treatment. They can just get pregnant naturally. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So prevention is better than cure. And I've had a great time. I've had a lovely time chatting with Dr. Narmada. Please let us know if you have any feedback. Please do write in your questions. We'll be very happy to consult. Go back to Dr. Narmada and take her inputs and send you the answers to your questions. This is what we're here to do. And I hope you really enjoyed. And please do also comment what are the other topics that you want to listen to. More than anything, to bring such quality experts to our show, you have to subscribe. So if you haven't done it yet, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for listening.